So this week, I wanted to kind of talk to you about prospecting conversations. If you were part of my last big masterclass, we kind of dug into the mindset around sponsoring and recruiting and building a team. And I want you to jog your memory back to all of those gifts that you had in your box. And I talked a little bit about this inside that training as well, and how we often have a tendency to hit people with a ton of information, right? Like we kind of barf up information on them because we're so excited and we know how incredible the opportunity that we have in our pockets is. And we just want them to know all the things all at once. So anybody, honestly, raise your hand if you are, if you've ever done that. I used to have like a Word document. I'm pretty sure it was like 3 pages, and it like outlined absolutely everything. And I was answering the questions before they were even asking the questions. And like, I was intense. And it was only because I was so excited and I didn't want to miss anything. And I think also because I wanted to be more prepared going into the conversation. I felt like I needed to know everything before I pitched the business to people, if that makes sense. And I think maybe it's my marketing, my business background. Like I really felt like I was going into a pitch. And you know what happens when you go into a pitch is people are like, whoa, whoa. Like, and don't get me wrong, I sponsored a few people and like blah, blah, blah. But like through kind of no fault of my own, it happened because I was literally just too much all at once, right? And so what I have adopted now is what I like to call the hitch analogy. And if you guys, so I clearly haven't patented this name, but have you guys seen the movie Hitch? It's with Will Smith, and I always forget his name. I think it's like Paul something. If you guys are watching and you know his name, tell me. I actually need to write this down because every single time I tell this analogy, I forget his name. But basically, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It is hilarious. But basically, Will Smith is the love doctor, and basically he helps men that don't have a lot of confidence, that are super awkward around women, that like are kind of hopeless. Kevin James, that's right. Thank you, Jody. He helps these men get dates, and truly he's helping them find love. And he hooks up with Kevin James, who's like, you guys know is like the funniest human, but you can probably see how he might be awkward around women. And Kevin James has his eyes on, I don't know her real name, but like in the movie, it's Alexa or Alexis, either way, but she's like this like businesswoman. She's rich, she's beautiful, she's all the things. And Kevin James is in love with her, and like he's coming from the most wonderful place. And so Hitch, who's Will Smith, it teaches him how to get the first kiss, because what he says is that women judge the rest of the relationship based on that one kiss. They feel like they can like see into the future based on like how that kiss went down. So he tells them, okay, you know what most men do? They like go all in and they're like, boom, I'm there. And that's what I used to do in terms of sponsoring and recruiting. I was like, okay, so you're just sitting on the sidelines. Well, I am all over you. I'm sharing all the things you haven't even asked about, all because I'm a cheerleader knowing that you will love this so much. But what Hitch and what Will Smith teaches Kevin James is that you need to go here. And you need to let her come the rest of the way, because it's a kissing is a 2-man game, or 2 women, or whatever it is, game. And there's just this magic that happens when you go part of the way and she comes the rest of the way. And that's what I want you to start thinking about in terms of sponsoring and recruiting. You give a little bit and you let them come back, and you see what happens when they come back. Because what happens when we just put it out there is that we get their wheels turning, and you'll actually find out what her hesitations are. So this morning I sent a message to someone that I know is considering. I just said, hey, just wanted to follow up from the event I ran last night and wanted to see if you had any questions. And she said, you know what, I'm still pondering the opportunity, but I feel like I'm too old and I don't feel like I have a market out there. Well, guess what? Now I know exactly what's holding her back. Now I can like And now I can answer the legitimate questions that she has without telling her 16 different things that she was never worried about. Because when you tell her 16 different things that she was never worried about, you're not actually making her feel better. You're making her feel overwhelmed. And you're making her feel like this is more challenging, this is more hard than it necessarily is. So I can say to her, you know what? I totally understand how you feel, but what I want you to know is that there are many, many women of all different ages inside this business, and it's not about your age. It's about, like, is this fun? Is it a product that you love? And I totally get the whole, like, I totally get that you feel like you might not have a clientele, but I felt the same way in the beginning too. But what I found is that you can build a clientele and you can build a group outside of your friends and family, and I can help you do that. When you know what someone's objections are, you are able to answer them. But when you just throw up information on them, you're really never going to get to the root of the problem, and you're never going to start that conversation, because it's not going to be a conversation. It's just going to be like, this is what they're going to say to you. They're going to be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Let me think on it. Let me read through all the things and let me get back to you. When it's a conversation, and this is a sales strategy as well, you're getting little bits of approval. Every single time she talks back, she is getting closer to saying yes, because the very act of talking back in and of itself is kind of a yes, right? It's showing interest. It's getting her brain closer to there. So I always often like to find a couple ways to get her to say yes. Like, well, do you really love the product? Yes. Like, do you know a couple people that love it? Yes. Or like when I'm going for a sale, I'll be like, okay, well, would you prefer silver or gold or something along those lines? And they're like, well, I would prefer gold. And like, I'm that much closer to the sale. The same thing happens in recruiting, is we just want to have that back and forth conversation. We just want to start the conversation. And you're probably asking me, well, Lori, like, how do I even start these conversations? Like, I don't know where to even start. And here's the thing. My biggest advice to you is that you want to be talking to as many customers as possible. You want to be focusing on building relationships, and you always want to be as connected to your community as possible. When you're connected, when you are placing orders for your customers, offering value in that way, you're going to have very natural opportunities to drop these sponsoring hints or drop these questions. I told you guys in my training before that my famous sentence is, have you ever thought of doing something like this? It's a simple question, right? And you're going to get a simple answer. And most of the time it's, well, yes, but... and then you find out the objection. And if it's no, it's like, no, I am like, this is not of interest to me. I just love being your customer. And then we go on our merry way. And I'm like, no worries. That's fun. I love to keep you as a customer. But if there's an objection, then there could be a yes on that other side of that objection. And I want you to deal with objections by using the feel, felt, found method. It's, I totally understand how you feel, because honestly, there's only so many different objections that you're going to get. You're going to hear similar ones over and over and over again. And most likely you will have felt a similar way in the beginning as well, because we all have the same hangups. We all have the same fears. You're going to say, I totally understand how you feel. I felt the same way in the beginning. What I found was, or I actually have a person on my team that went through exactly the same thing. What she found was the personal experience, the personal antidote, being able to relate their fears to somebody else's personal experience is a much better way to overcome it than to just try and shoot them down, act like they're not real, and kind of tell them facts. Personal experiences resonate with people on a much deeper level than facts do, because facts, people can look around and be like, well, that just doesn't apply to me. But a personal story is like, okay, well, maybe she was in a similar position to me, then maybe I could do this too. And if somebody wants to get there, they will get there. And it's more of a back and forth, and you want to continue that back and forth until you get that yes. So that is my hitch analogy. Those are my best words to say to your prospects. And I'm not going to complicate this massively, because I don't want you to complicate it. I just want you to start talking to more people. I want you to start opening up more conversations. I want you to start getting more comfortable overcoming the objections that people come up with. And I want you to focus on the gifts and the transformation that you've had inside your business as a way to push you forward, as a way to know that what you have is of massive, massive value and is really exciting to other people. And then, because I asked you guys last week, do you remember how I asked you guys last week, what trainings do you want? And I picked your number 2. Your number 2 was how to build a team, and number 2, how to get an engaged VIP group. So I am building 2 things all around those 2 topics. The first is I'm actually going to do the whole theme of Thrive next month is going to be building your team. So basically you can join for a month, and if that's all you're interested in, you can take it for the month of training and go. It's $29 a month. And I will drop the link in here, but you will have access to absolutely everything else behind the scenes. You'll have every past trainings that we did. If you'll have access to stick around for November, if you feel like November's topic, whatever it is. But Thrive, we are deep diving into building your team next month. I am going to go through how to overcome specific objections. I'm going to talk about how to sponsor using your VIP group. I'm going to help you guys create an opportunity event that gets people to jump in. It was like the single best way that I started building my team and then helping my team do the same. We're also going to probably dig into how to launch somebody strong. In the last week, I'm thinking about adding that in. I'm going to do a bunch of live Q&As and support in that way too, and basically help you guys with whatever you're struggling with inside building your team. So that is October's focus, and I will drop you guys a link inside here if you feel like this fall you want to explode your team. That is the way to do it. Number 2, with your Engage Your VIP group, I am building I think it's going to be a 3-week challenge. I know that sounds a little bit crazy. But I just want to spread it out. I don't want to put it into, like, you know how I've done my master classes and I've done it all in 1 week? I'm thinking about doing it in bite-sized chunks. So each week there'll be a different Zoom call or live training that you can hop onto, all about building your VIP group and getting your VIP group actually engaged, actually buying and shopping with you, and actually talking back, because hands up if you need people to actually start talking back. So I'm building that now. I'm likely going to launch that mid-October. I want to get the sponsoring master classes all put together for Thrive. So if you want to sponsor, hop into Thrive for October. If you want to engage your team or engage your VIP group, which honestly is going to work inside any different VIP or any different Facebook group. Some of the tactics will be very applicable for online parties, very applicable for your team groups, all the things. It's going to be strategies around Facebook and some little behind the scenes stuff. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to keep Thrive open for 1 week. If you want to get in on the team or the sponsoring and recruiting month, you need to sign up by next week, because next week I'll likely start opening up the doors to the Engage Your VIP group challenge. All right. So you guys, let me know if you have any questions from today's training. Let me know if you love the hitch analogy. Let me know if you are like me and basically we're throwing up information on people and killing them with kindness. It always did come from a really good place, and I know that you do too, but I see it more often than not that we need to cut down on what we're saying. We need to trim the fat. We need to just start the conversation. You come to here, but you let them come to here too. And then it's a ping pong situation. She says something, you say something. She says something, you say something. Not you, her, run. All right, you guys, happy Tuesday. I hope you're enjoying the sunshine. I hope you get outside, and I hope you are having a fantastic week.